My name is John. I'm a fisherman by trade. A simple man who spent more days battling the sea than most men would dare. My life was predictable, steady, and solitary, until the day I met her. And now, as I tell you this, I'm not sure if I'm seeking absolution or guidance, but I need someone to hear me. It was a mist-heavy morning when it all began, the kind of morning where the sea seems to breathe with a life of its own. The tides were unusually still, and the horizon seemed to stretch forever, a vast, silken expanse. I was casting my nets as usual when I heard it, a melody unlike anything I'd ever encountered. It wasn't from any bird or instrument. It was haunting, sensual, and it seemed to rise from the depths itself. At first I thought my mind was playing tricks on me. But then I saw her. At the edge of the boat, barely hidden beneath the surface, was a creature that could have only existed in dreams or legends. Her long hair flowed in soft, golden waves, catching the sunlight like threads of spun gold. Her eyes, my God, her eyes, were the color of the deep ocean, shifting between sapphire and emerald, depending on how the light hit them. Her skin glistened, a pale, otherworldly beauty, and where a leg should have been was a tail of turquoise and opal, shimmering with a glow that seemed almost alive. I froze. She didn't move at first, just watched me, curious and unafraid. When she finally spoke, her voice was like the melody I'd heard, soft and lilting, yet powerful enough to shatter any resistance in me. "Who are you to tread so far into my world?" she asked, her words echoing in my mind even as her lips barely moved. Her name was Marina, and from the moment she said it, I knew my life would never be the same. I couldn't stop thinking about her, her voice, her beauty, the sheer impossibility of her existence. Days turned to nights, and she haunted my thoughts like a siren's call. I tried to resist, to convince myself she was a fantasy, but the pull was too strong. I went back, again and again, and each time I found her waiting for me. We talked, we laughed, and as impossible as it sounds, I fell in love. Marina wasn't just beautiful, she was wise in ways I couldn't comprehend, her knowledge shaped by the currents and tides of a world I could barely imagine. She told me of her life beneath the waves, of the vast kingdom she belonged to, of her father, the king of the deep, and the rigid rules she had to follow. But we both knew, rules or not, that we couldn't stay apart. One night, under a blanket of stars reflected on the sea, I confessed my feelings. She didn't speak, but her eyes said everything. When I leaned closer, she didn't pull away. And that was the beginning of what would become both the greatest joy and the deepest regret of my life. It wasn't enough to see her in the water. I needed her with me. So one night I brought her home. Marina adjusted quickly, fascinated by the strange world of humans. She was curious and playful, but there was also a deep vulnerability to her, a sadness I couldn't ignore. She had given up everything to be with me, and I gave her everything I could in return. Our intimacy became a haven, a place where our two worlds collided in ways I can't describe without cheapening it. She was everything I had ever wanted, and I thought we could make it work. But life is never that simple. One evening, Marina came to me trembling. "I'm with child," she said, her voice barely a whisper. At first I was stunned. Then, an overwhelming sense of love and protectiveness washed over me. But as the reality sank in, so did the fear. A child, half human, half mermaid. What kind of life could we give it? And more importantly, what would her father do if he found out? We didn't have to wonder for long. The king of the deep, Marina's father, discovered our secret. I don't know how he knew, but I could feel his wrath in the storms that suddenly battered our shores, in the eerie calm that followed, in the haunting echoes of his voice carried by the waves. Marina told me he was coming, for her, for the child, and for me. Now I'm living in fear. I love Marina, and I love the child we've created, I don't know how to protect them, or myself. The king is no mere man. His power is beyond anything I can fight. My home is no longer safe, and my nights are restless, haunted by the thought of what's to come. So I ask you, whoever you are, reading or listening to this, what should I do? Do I run? Do I fight? Or do I give Marina and the child back to the sea, knowing it would tear my heart apart? I've crossed a line that no man should, and now I'm paying the price. But I need to know, how do I save the woman I love and the family we've created?